Hey, lovely writers. This is Brooke Adams Law, and welcome to another writing power lesson video. Today, we're going to talk about a tool called the story list. So, I came up with the concept of the story list because a lot of my writing coaching clients were coming to me and they're saying, I don't know where to start. I have so many ideas for my book. And when I sit down to write, I choke. I don't know where to begin. What do I do? So the story list brings up two things. One is I love the idea of having separate planning time versus writing time. So planning time is when you create something like a story list, which I'll teach you in a moment, or you're thinking about the structure of the book, you're thinking about the purpose of the book, you're kind of like plotting things out, perhaps you're thinking but like big picture planning, right? Writing time is when you then sit down at a separate time and you start executing like your plan, right? So you start writing the things that you have already outlined or thought about, which is separate again from revising time, which happens separately. So thinking about like, okay, I'm sitting down to do some planning, or I'm sitting down to do some writing, or I'm sitting down to do some revising. They're all very different states of mind. So decide ahead of time what you're going to focus on during a given segment of time. A tool that you can use for planning time is this idea of a story list. A story list is really simple. It's basically a brain dump of stories you want to include in your book. So this could be if you're writing like a self-help book or a business book, it could be like, okay, I'm going to like dump in this list of concepts I want to teach and I want to illustrate them with this story, this story, this story, this client story, this thing that happened to me, this impactful moment, etc. If you are writing a memoir, this is a list of stories that you know you want to tell in the book. If you're writing a novel, it's like, and you don't have a clear structure for it yet, that's fine. Make a list of like moments that you think are going to happen during the story or things we need to know about the narrator that are going to like help us, like help the reader follow them through their journey. The next time you sit down to write, pick a story from your story list and just start writing. Just begin. It doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be in order. You can just like pluck one off the story list and go. As you're writing, if other stories come to mind, you can branch out while you're writing and just be like, oh, and this reminds me of the time that XYZ happened. Or you can like pull up your story list and be like, oh, don't forget about this story, this story, this story. For a story list to be super effective, I want you to stay connected to it. Don't make it and then never ever look at it again. So as you're going about your day, other stories that you want to tell are probably going to come to mind. Write them down on a Post-it. If you carry a little notebook around with you, if you have a notes app in your phone, like capture them as they surface or else they will be lost. So keep the story list flowing, like add to it and stay connected to it. Don't like hide it and never look at it again. When you've written through every story on your story list, then and only then, go back and read everything you've written so far and start looking for key themes. I find that like some writers really like to structure ahead of time. And for some writers, the structure emerges from the draft of all these stories, right? It's almost like a Polaroid developing. So as you read through the stories that you've written, you might start to see glimmers of a structure or like a reverse outline, right? Of how the book might come together. So maybe it's not going to happen chronologically, right? In the book, maybe you're going to unfold it in a different way. That's a story list. Let me know in the comments below if you have any questions, if you tried it, how it worked for you. And thanks for watching this writing power lesson video.